Alright, Avenue Cycling Club, new bike day, leveled up to level 20, got the Trek Madone unlocked. Got the laser helmet on as well from doing the Zwift Alp climb and getting the Wheel of Fortune there at the top. So looking a little different for this race. This one's a sprint, Aussie Crit Crushers. This is race number 1. It's about 6 kilometers. And I'm going to walk you guys through. We're going to watch the whole thing because it's pretty short. So had a pretty good start there, and I was feeling good today, and it's a shorter race, so I'm going to go pretty hard. So off the bat, over 400, over 500 watts in some cases, and there's one power-up right off the get-go there. And I ended up getting a Ghost, which I don't even know if I've ever had before, but essentially it makes your guy disappear or not visible to any of the other riders. Guy just used it there. And right now I'm thinking I'm going to use it for the sprint finish. So disappear within 200 meters left and just go all out to see if I can cross the finish line without anybody trying harder to catch me. The elevation here, I didn't think about it, but it's actually pretty heavy. So I think it's about 70 meters across the 6 kilometers, which 70 meters doesn't sound like a lot, but if it's across 6 kilometers, you're climbing quite a bit in a short distance. So that means there's pretty steep uphills, but mostly it's flat, which is why I went with the Trek. Let's talk a little bit about the bike. So Zwift Insider, they have a ranking of all the bikes and all the wheel sets for climbing, for speed. So the Trek Madone ranks the 3rd or 4th fastest in the game. No, it's the 3rd fastest. Just above the Canyon Aero Road 2021, which I was riding before. And both are good bikes for flats. They kind of suck on climbing. So I picked this one because the course is pretty flat. So this one should add a few seconds or take away a few seconds. I should save a few seconds across an hour, but just to get a feel on how the course is, you could see it goes up 5% gradient, then it goes flat. So there's these pretty short, steep climbs, and I think there's a few more that are even worse than that. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking I got to get 70 meters elevation and stick with this group. And we already know, I mean, it's a pretty big pack, 56 riders for a Cat B sprint race. And they're going to be going pretty hard. I don't see any other Canadians, which is interesting. But you'll see me in the bottom left. I switch back and forth from riding on the hoods and the drops. I find if I ride in the drops, I could push a little bit harder. But so far, my wattage, my power has been pretty good. So I've been pushing. I'm consistently seeing over 500 watts on the screen, which I typically don't see when I'm doing longer races, but this is about a third of the length of a race I usually do. You'll see the steep part here, it goes up to 10% gradient, and I'm just pushing so hard, over 600 watts to get up this hill and stay with the group. And at about this point, I'm pretty warmed up, so I got on the bike, I went pretty hard, I was pretty gassed, but now I'm warmed up, I'm feeling not bad, like my heart rate's sitting around 170, 175, trying to keep it low. So 160, I think that's not accurate, but I'm sitting around 170, 175 and pushing pretty hard to stay with the pack. You know, within the first 4 minutes of this race, I've consistently been in top 10 here, which is an okay sign. I don't know, take it how you will for a sprint race. But I'm pushing pretty hard still when it comes to watts. We got 4 kilometers left in the race. Another uphill comes up. Half the group just kind of takes off. I haven't seen anybody use their power-ups lately, but they must be saving it for the end as well. So I closed the gap on the flats, which it has been a trend in the race. So could be bike, could be just my weight and my profile as a cyclist. I'm slower on the uphills and should be faster on the downhills and the flats, so I close the gap after any climb. And you'll see on the map there, it's looking pretty good. We're at kind of the top of the elevation here, so I got another 25 meters elevation to go before the finish, so it's not bad, and there's 3 kilometers left. And I'm sitting in, I get to the front a little bit on the flats, and as soon as I touch the front, the top three positions, I try to ease off and pull back a little bit. You could see from the power profile in the top left. And this race is actually feeling a bit longer than you think a 6 kilometer sprint race would. You think it'd go pretty quick, but I'm doing okay. My heart rate's been consistently staying under 180 until now. Now it's climbing up, but I know that when we hit this dirt part, I'm going to have to push through and kind of take advantage of the downhill. So I do that, but still I'm putting over 400 watts, which at the end of the race, you'll see I actually hit a power PR here. So it's not, I guess it wouldn't be considered FTP because it's not a 20-minute session, but I hit a max wattage, and you'll see at the end, I'll place the results on Zwift Power. But all in all, this has been a pretty quick race, and I'm impressed by the amount of power I'm putting out. I didn't think I'd have it in me for this long and to keep it in the sprint. On the last sprint I did, it was quite hard, and I got hurt quite a bit when it came to the final uphill and then the sprint. I lost a few positions. So I'm going back in the drops now because I fell back a few positions and trying to put up, a decent amount of watts to now over 400 to try to sit in the closer to the front, which for some reason has been my strategy going into every race, is like stay top 10 the entire race. And I'm working it out, but I don't think that's necessary to stay in the top 10 for the entire race. I did another race recently where I kind of sat in the middle of the pack. It was like near the 20th or 30th position. And it was much less strenuous. It took much less energy to stay in the group. So that might be the new strategy, but we're coming to the end here, 63 meters elevation. And I'm kind of thinking strategy here. So I got this ghost power up, and we've got 1.5 kilometers left. And I'm kind of keeping an eye on the other riders just in case somebody takes off. I would consider being in that breakout group. I've had a decent ride so far, feeling pretty good. And I've been at the front most of the race, but it's a sprint race. The group is pretty sticky. Everyone's staying together. So I think if there was a breakout, which they're considering right here, and I'm considering staying with these guys as well, it would be caught pretty quickly because of, it looks like the entire race is in the front group here. So I push forward a little bit, hit the front, ease off a bit, get back in the draft here for the final 900 meters. And I know there's going to be, I believe there's a little bit of an uphill before the sprint, but I want to be in a decent position. We see some people using the power-ups now, but I'm saving mine until the end. Hopefully I could sneak in a decent sprint. Somebody's ghost just expired. You saw him pop up there. So 600 meters left. I'm going to push, and I'm going to go for a hard effort come 400 meters, maybe 300 meters. And people are using their power-ups and just taking off, which that guy had a good one. He had an arrow on a downhill. I'd take that any day. So I'm putting over 300 watts here. I'm about to go in the drops and go pretty hard, but you can see the power-ups are starting to come. I'm going to use mine, 200 meters left. My hands are on the power-up there. I hit it, but then it disappears. So it was absolutely useless. I don't know what happened there. It glitched. So I'm putting over 500 watts. I get it to the sprint with 100 meters left. It's a little bit late, but I'm not far off. So I end up finishing 8th in the sprint, which actually translates to 8th in Zwift Power as well. So it was a pretty even race. All in all, good race. Please, guys, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll be posting again shortly.